So one day, Jesus is in the temple in Jerusalem. And while he's there, there's the scribes, the Pharisees, and teachers of the law, and they're all asking him different questions. One of the teachers of the law asked Jesus, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment?" And Jesus' response is very simple. He says this: to love your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, Jesus didn't just come up with this command to love your neighbor as yourself on the spot, because thousands of years before, God gave the same commandment to the people of Israel. And in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, it says this: "You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against the sons of your own people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." God's heart was for the people of Israel to be holy as he was holy, to be transformed into his image, and part of that was learning to love others as yourself. So Jesus is simply saying what God had already spoken: love your neighbor as yourself. The best part is that Jesus doesn't just say to do this, he showed us how to do this. In John chapter 1, verse 14, it says this: "The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, lived among us." In another version, it says that the Word became flesh and blood and moved into the neighborhood. And this is what Jesus did. Jesus left his throne in heaven and he moved into our neighborhood where he loved us. He cared for us. He healed us. He was present with us. He cried with us. Jesus showed what it looks like to love your neighbor as yourself. One of the ways we can practice doing this is by simply bringing food to our neighbors. And so try this. Next time you're making food in your house, maybe it's baking cookies, something as simple as that. Make some and bring it to your neighbor and just say, "Hey, when I was making these, I thought of you and I wanted you to have them." That's all it takes, and that's loving your neighbor in a simple way. Whether it's your physical neighbor right next door or somebody else who's in your life, our neighbor is whoever we show mercy to. And we know that we're supposed to show mercy to everyone. So our neighbor is anyone. But this is faith in practice, and it's stretching and maybe feels awkward. But if we're going to practice our faith, what better way to do it by doing what Jesus did: loving your neighbor as yourself.